let's move on to hype train number 4 for Adam. Vancouver, take it away, my friend.
So Mark DeSantos again at the helm. They finished 9th last year in the West, which not super terrible. Granted 17th overall in the league and just missed out on playoffs. They're the only team in the league that last season that didn't draw a game. They either went all out and tried to win or all out and lost. There was no settling for a point in Vancouver. At the same time, anyone with any sort of talent last season played 2 games and was immediately sold. So they struggled a lot. So other than Ali Adnan, who I'm convinced has a clause in his contract that he's not allowed to leave because he should have been on a different team years ago. I assume they're just going to stick with the same 4-4-2 they've been playing for the last 3 seasons because sure. So hopefully, I assume Kerpau's healthy. Otherwise, Hassal will just come in and be fine.
Yeah, their goalkeeper spot is not an issue.
No. Some combination that. This is one of those teams in MLS that has zero depth to it. If this 11 that I'm about to say gets any injuries to it, they're just pulling guys off the street to come play for them. So it'll be some combination of Jake Nowitzki at right back, Veselinovic and Godoy. It's 2 center backs, and then the GOAT at left back.
Who?
The GOAT.
Brian White?
No, the one that's on Vancouver.
Alex Muil?
Yes.
We're talking GOATs here. We're not talking Ali Adnan.
I will reach through this computer and punch you in the head.
Do it, I dare
you. Christian Djome at right mid, and then you have, I assume, Tybert and Kyle Alexander as the 2 center mids, and then take your pick at left mid. Is it going to be Theo Bair? Is it going to be Baldissimo? Your guess is as good as mine, and then Cavallini and Caicedo up top. But any injuries to this team, and I don't know who you're filling this team with.
So what I would say is keep an eye on Derek Cornelius. He got a bunch of game time last year, as did Jasser Kamri or Kimiri. Don't know how to pronounce that name, but he actually started last year. He was the opening day starter for them. Godoy, I think, has it locked in, and I think Veselinovic probably will slide into that as well.
Yeah.
But they're not super thin at that spot. Ali Adnan's got an injury next to his name. Torn muscle fiber.
Can't tear steel.
They did just sign Bruno Gaspar as well at that right back spot, so Nerwinski has some competition. I think you'll see DeJome probably up on the left, more likely because they've now got that Diber Caicedo to play on the right side, so they'll switch him back. And then, yes, Cavallini, Ricketts, Bear will fill in as a sub. And is Egbo, the draft pick, an outside shot to get a few minutes? Maybe. It really depends on how they go. But, and yeah, Chow Alexander as well is going to be a really nice addition to that spot.
Yeah, so he's one of the He's one of the key players I have highlighted. So it'll be him, Ali Adnan, and Cavallini. Cavallini didn't do terribly last season, considering he had zero help around him for a lot of it. Their game plan was essentially get the ball to Ali Adnan at left back. He bombs forward, does a Ronaldo chop inside, and either shoots or lays someone off. But now it looks like they decided to actually bring in some attacking talent and try to lighten some of that load. Cavallini 6 goals in 18 games last season, not necessarily the outcome they were going to expect considering his price tag, but that's still, roughly 33% in a team that finished where it did. Caicedo comes in 7 goals, 13 assists in roughly 80 games with Deportivo Cali. So not a crazy return, but we'll see. And then the other player, The other player who needs to have a good season and hopefully stay healthy this year is their goalkeeper. I mean, Hasal, we saw what he did last season when he came in. He looked really good and arguably could start elsewhere in MLS like tomorrow and be totally fine.
Sorry, I'm arguing with Connor on the notes here.
No, I see.
The disrespect that's being spewed on our Google Docs is ridiculous. I'm not even going to repeat it on this podcast because I think we might have to just like bleep out the entire section on the recording because it's that awful. Disrespectful.
Listen, I had to make up for it because I didn't do anything for Orlando.
Now I lost my train of thought. I had something really like key I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about how I don't think this team is as thin as you make it sound. I think there are a lot of people that we don't necessarily know about as household names, but they've done a very good job of improving on areas that they needed to. And we didn't really hit on it much on the transfer window side of it, mainly because Chal Alexander hadn't been through. It was really just the Diber transfer in. Their center backs are solid enough where they can be okay. They've upgraded their right back spot and added some leadership back there because that's really what they're missing is somebody who's got some experience to say, hey, cut the crap, let's start playing. Tybert's always been a pretty decent center defensive mid. Baldisimo's got another year under his belt where he can kind of step in and hold his own. Like I mentioned, Chal Alexander is going to be fine. Caicedo on the wing, and you've got Cavallini with another year under his belt. I think this team is going to be sneaky okay. Fighting for a playoff spot. Like I said, they were 9th last year and have improved while other teams might not have. You know, they might be an outside shot at the, 5 to 7 range for the playoffs this year.
So I would agree. However, if you look at Jake Nowitzki is, I think, 26. I think he's like roughly my age.
Yes, correct.
I think Theo Bear is 21 and Baldisimo is like 23-ish, 24.
20.
So relatively young guys that if they start having a good season, like I wouldn't put it past Vancouver to just be like, all right, leader.
You're playing the worst case scenario of everybody continues to get sold.
I mean, like we saw what happened last season when.
Well, like I mentioned, I think Nerwinski probably sees the bench in lieu of Bruno Gaspar.
I don't. I think that's his spot.
I disagree. I don't think you go spend almost $2 million on a right back just to sit him on the bench. Not Vancouver. Vancouver doesn't run that way. I think Baldisimo gets a lot more minutes this year. Learns from Chal Alexander. I think they get a pretty decent partnership together. I'm excited to see Caicedo play, Cavallini to properly play this year. I think there's a lot more potential in this team than you're giving them credit for just because of their reputation as being Vancouver. So Vancouver fans, I've got you.
Hey, I want them to do well. I'm just.
No, you don't. You want Ali Adnan to do well. There's a difference. There are levels to this.
And Cavallini.
And Cavallini, fair.
That was all of their team last year, so.
Yeah.